Hello and welcome to this mock showcase of my latest mock, which is a Rock Raiders MOC. It's a diorama inspired by the video game itself and also a sort of showcase of two quote-unquote custom vehicles I've made. The overall diorama is built to have quite an interesting shape. It's not just a square, it's not quite rounded off. And the whole idea with it was to create a scene that looked believable, a sort of in-game scene that looked believable, which is why the power paths are included, a vital part of the game. One big challenge with these was to try to get the funky proportions of the in-game design to a sort of doable and functional real-life adaptation. For instance, in the game, the docks is as wide as one of the power paths, but the docks is also as wide as the small teleporter. Now, if you build these as close as you can, which I've tried to do here following the instructions provided by RR Slugger, the small teleport pad is quite exactly half the width of the docks, but they're supposed to be the same in game. So this of course provides a bit of a scaling issue. So what I instead tried to do was to use the 1 8x8 brick as a standard for the sizing. And so I utilized this to get the size, and then I've done this little raised platform to to make it as game accurate as possible, which meant that the power pads ended up being 9x9 studs. And this size seemed to work quite well. I think the proportions look overall good, and it gives a nice, interesting, some more interesting, size differences between the different buildings. For the support station, the docks, as well as the small teleport pad are all different sizes, and I think it adds a bit of visual interest to the mock. Now, I mentioned also that I have a few vehicles, well, a few in this too. So this is my version of the Rapid Rider. It's a significantly beefed up version with a brick-built sort of chassis and a much more flushed out cockpit, and with the cargo bay there. I think it's quite a nice looking mock. There's a few things that I designed in studio using some parts that don't have. It's actually intended to have a brick-built cargo bay, which makes it more of an interesting model, so I'll definitely try to find some more parts on Bricklink for that. But it's a bit hard to find while also, I forgot to mention, the mock, sort of the scenery, is built in dark bluish grey. However, all the vehicles and the buildings, except the power paths, they're built in light grey and dark grey, so the old versions of the grey colors. And so there are quite some limitations when building vehicles and mocks using those pieces. However, it is most certainly doable. And the same thing goes for my loader dozer here. This is a significantly beefed up version. So if we just remove Axel, because he's just put on there, not really stuck in there. You can see that my custom loader dozer have a custom cockpit undercarriage compared to the sets that have a prefabricated one. And the still cockpit can still seat a minifigure without problem inside. And the overall design of the loader dozer have been beefed up. So you can see there's a lot more vehicle here than it is in the original in-game model, which I do, well, not in-game model just, but the actual set, which I love, by the way. But I like this beefed up version a bit more. Then we have a hover scout sitting here, where I have a custom chrome part on, and it's actually a little theme I had going on with this mock here. Here's another custom chrome part, and I also decided to give them a custom chrome blaster, and also the tunnel transport over here also has some custom chrome parts, just to add in a little bit extra, as Rock Raiders did use a few very notable chrome parts, namely of course the grill pieces, but also the large drills used for the granite grinder and the chrome crusher. So I wanted to add in a little bit more chrome, introduce a bit more of it in this mock. Now, to show more of the scenery, I'm just going to turn this around. It's not the most professional way of showing a mock, but it will do. So, one aspect of this, which made everything take more time and consume a lot more parts than I initially intended, was that the wall, sort of the section of the wall that I built here, of the cave, as you can see, it's sort of double-sided. So it's detailed on both this side, but same on the other side. This also features the same amount of detailing and shaping. And it was to make this possible, to sort of make the scene feel like it's expanding towards us here, not just cut off, so it's not just a cutout of a cave, but more like it feels like it's spilling out on all sides. That's also one of the reasons for why it's built up on this 3 brick tall, I guess you can call it border or base. It's to really feel like this is just like a screenshot taken out of the game, or out of the game, I suppose. So you got the tunnel transport heading in for some safety in the base, chased down by a rock monster. I think this added quite some visual interest to have these here, and made the scene feel a bit more alive. And this continues on all the way back here to where the electric fences are. So I'm just gonna move this back and quickly talk just a little bit more about the actual design of the mock itself, or the landscaping. So one of the first things that I did was the water feature back on the front part here. So I knew I wanted to include the docks and the rapid rider. So this was sort of the starting point. I felt like it's a nice way to break things up for, of course, Rock Raiders is in a cave. It can end up just being a lot of gray, and this is and don't get me wrong, this mock have a lot of gray in it still, but at least this adds some visual interest to the terrain. I also tried to include a sort of an ore seam over here, and the reason it's a bit blocky is because this is the old brown color. And not reddish brown, and I have very, very little of that color in my collection. So I kind of took what I had to try to just get the idea of an ore seam here. Just add in, once more, to add in a little more visual interest to the mock overall, to the landscaping. And I think it worked. I think it does what it's supposed to. And of course, gladly, all the buildings in Rock Raiders are very colorful, have this very striking color combination. So yeah, I think overall this turned out really good. I'm very pleased with it. I won't be doing anything of this scale again, for while it might not look like it's huge, it is a rather large mock, and you can also see it takes up a considerable portion of our dining table, which have now been repositioned for the sake of this video. This is not necessarily the most practical way of building, so I probably won't be making any mock of this size, but I have intentions of building more Rock Raider mocks in the future. But there's many other different ways to do it than to end up with a scene of this size, but I really wanted to do something like this, for it is a very long time since I made a Rock Raiders mock of any considerable size. I have more pictures of this posted on Eurobricks and my Flickr account, so if you want to see more still shots and more detailed shots, you should head over there. And you can also find some of my previous mocks where I have better showcase of my custom Rock Raider figures that I have the printed leg parts as well, that if you didn't know, these were not available from Lego, so these are custom prints. So if you want to see more detailed pics of that, you can see that on my Flickr as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit shaky and well, not the best setup, but I think it did the trick to at least showing this off. Have a good day. Bye.